basically, what's going on right now is there's this Reddit drama where subreddits are shutting down. I have no idea why. Something to do with the API changes. I wanted to check this video out to see kind of what's going on. Apparently, I think it's a similar story to what we're used to. Is big company screws over the little guy again. And in the way they do that is removing, certain accesses or conveniences that, allow things that propped up their company prior to be to just basically lock it out completely. So let's take a look at this.
Hello guys and gals, me Mudahar, and today we got to talk about the old Reddit, ladies and gentlemen. The last time I covered Reddit, I had a fun time talking about r/art. I think some people were wild, okay, in the world of moderation. Today we're talking about all of Reddit, ladies and gentlemen, and why there is a massive protest and blackout happening. So where did the start of this nuke happen, ladies and gentlemen, on r/mod news?
Okay, let's take a look at this real quick. API update, continue access to our API. So if anybody doesn't know what an API is, I'm also kind of dumb too, but I did look it up a little bit. But basically it's where you can get access to the information of that website, and like embed it into your your website, right? So if you want like Reddit posts to pop up on your website, like it'll pop up there. And then if you want like just any Reddit information, export it out. The API just makes it easier. And just more accessible for content creators.
Hey, we're here with some updates on a few topics.
Tickle in my throat. No, I wasn't sucking dick. I
raised recently about Reddit's data API. So the TLDR on July 1st, we will enforce new rate limits for a free access tier available to current users, including mods. We're in discussion with push.
Let's read. So, hi there, mods. We're here with updates on a few topics. Okay, July 1st will enforce a new rate limit for a free access tier available to current API users, including mods. We're in discussion with PushShift to enable them to support moderation access. Mods of the NSFW spaces will have continued access to their communities via third-party tooling and apps. So the first update is new rate limits for the free access tier. We posted in Reddit Dev about a new enterprise tier for large-scale applications that seek access to the data API. All others will continue to access the API without cost in accordance with our developer terms. Many of you already know our stated rate limit was 60 queries a minute regardless of status. As of July 1st, we'll start enforcing 2 different rate limits for free access tiers. Okay, so they're basically trying to get some more money. That's what it is.
To enable them to
charging per query of the API. So it's like every time you use it, they're going to start charging.
Access,
which is
moderators of
they have the
sexually
right
explicit
to do that,
spaces
but it's kind of
like
scummy.
r/cuckold will have continued access to their communities.
Do you say cuckold?
Via third-party tooling and apps. Okay, so some good capacities over there. So when it comes to academic and research access, we want to facilitate academic and other research that advances the understanding of Reddit's community ecosystem. Our expectation...
Wait, what? We want to facilitate academic and other research advances in understanding of Reddit's community ecosystem. Our expectation is that Reddit developer tools and services will be used for research exclusively for academic purposes, and that research will refrain from distributing our data and any derivative products. I have no idea how NSFW is not research. I am a art enjoyer, and the body is a form of art.
Is that Reddit developer tools and services will be used for research exclusively for academic, non-commercial purposes. Okay. And of course, ladies and gentlemen, going down when it came to third update, the mature content, of course, as part of an ongoing effort to provide guardrails on how sexually explicit content and communities on Reddit are discovered and viewed, we will be limiting large-scale application access to sexually explicit content via our data API. So when it comes to third-party applications on Reddit, NSFW will not necessarily be available anymore, it seems.
Yeah.
Now, to understand, there's been a few subreddits like r/PC Gaming, r/WoW, so on and so forth, that have pretty much gone up in arms. A lot of third-party developers have gone up in arms. And, of course, Reddit's kind of caved in to an extent, On the 8th of June, literally yesterday, Reddit made an exception for accessibility apps. So for people that are suffering from, blindness or any form of disabilities that are using third-party applications to consume Reddit content.
Oh, wow. I didn't even think about how far this actually goes, like, and what it will affect. So, yeah, like accessibility options, people are just getting boned. Like, it queries the API when it, like, reads the text, right, on the screen or something. Oh, that is so jacked up.
Doesn't seem like you're going to be hurt, according to, what's being reported over here. Now, to understand what the heck an API is, it's an application programming interface, ladies and gentlemen. And the reason why these exist is when you're interacting with an application, like on your cell phone or a third-party app, to a website like Reddit in this case, every single thing you do on that website is an API request. So when you're upvoting, downvoting, commenting, opening up pages, exploring the website and accessing its data, and then sending to it, you are doing an API request. You can
so all of these are queries. So every single bit, pretty much everything you do on a lot of these apps is going to start costing the companies money, which is going to, obviously it's going to be an extra expense and reduce the quality of the thing that they get to put out.
Tons of these happen within seconds, all right, minutes. There are hundreds of API requests that you are sending behind the scenes. If you actually looked at the guts of a program and how it interacted with some of these websites, you would be shocked at how much traffic is going back and forth to keep the website running.
Yeah, and I think the 60 queries rule, depending on site traffic, that's like menial, right? Like that's almost nothing.
Right. And in this case, when it comes to Reddit's mobile platform, Reddit has a weird situation where a lot of people actually use third-party applications. So to give you an idea, when you're browsing Reddit through the mobile platform, if it's an NSFW page or if it's, something different, the actual website, when you open up the web browser on your phone, it'll...
And I know most of you freaks are on them NSFW pages.
...constantly pester you to use the Reddit app. Now, you can use the Reddit app, but there's also other applications, like Apollo, which are used by a staggeringly high amount of people out there. So to understand, looking at just a small sample size, this is one captured from r/PC Gaming, where the PC...
Let's look at this. How do you primarily browse Reddit? So on the desktop, okay, so that's how most people looks like they do it. New Reddit, I have no idea what new Reddit is. Official Reddit app, I think that's the way I do it. I think so. It's the Reddit app. Third-party app. So wow, that makes, so if it's a third-party and not an official source, it's going to cost, so 22% of the population is being affected by this. Reddit website through mobile browser, old Reddit on mobile. What is SexOS?
The gaming guys were asked, where do you use Reddit? So 42% used old Reddit on the desktop. 15.6% used new Reddit. Now, of course, 15.1% used the official Reddit app on cell phones, but then 22% used a third-party application. Now, how much variance of which third-party application within this chunk is a different story. And, of course, there are some people that use SexOS, but you get the idea.
What is
a very small amount of sickos use Reddit apparently through the mobile browser, but it's a different story. So a lot of people, according to this sample size of 2,500 people, are using Reddit on a third-party website that needs to have access to the API system. Now, what Reddit has done is obviously they started to charge for this API. And all of a sudden, applications like Apollo have pretty much told us that their price tag is going to be up to like $20 million a year.
According to actual... Jesus. I had a call to Reddit discuss pricing. Bad news for third-party apps that announced pricing because of Twitter's pricing, and Apollo would have to pay Reddit $20 million a year to keep running as is. I'll cut it to the stage. 50 million requests cost $12,000, a figure far more than I could ever imagine. Apollo made 7 billion requests last month. $1.7 million or $20 million US dollars per year. Hey, be quiet. Even if I only kept subscription users, the average Apollo user uses 344 requests a day, which is $250 a month. So they would probably have to upcharge the people on the service itself, which is, giving them the shaft.
The Apollo developer, they had a call with Reddit to discuss the pricing for third-party apps, literally said they had to pay Reddit $20 million a year to keep running as it is.
Wow.
So according to that, Reddit reiterated that the price would be reasonable and based in reality. And they would not operate like Twitter, because Twitter was being publicly ridiculed for having absolutely obscene price tags for its API access. So, for instance,
Reddit
Twitter, which was
for
charging $42,000 for 50 million.
Elon, was this like was the cost of the stuff like that for Twitter the same when Elon Musk before he came, or no?
Tweets. Reddit is still $12,000. For reference, I pay Imgur, a site similar to Reddit in user base and media, $166
Wow.
for the same 50 million API calls. Now, of course, it's up to a company to decide how much they're going to be charging, but you can imagine that these massive price variances, maybe Reddit's taken people a bit too much down the path of actual
For probably the average user uses three. So people are using 344 requests a day or 10.6K monthly. The average user would cost $2.50, which is 20 times higher than a generous estimate of which each user brings Reddit in revenue. So Reddit is trying to give the fist to pretty much everybody, because they're going to have to, people like services that run these are going to have to put that charge on the person. Reddit is supposed to be, I mean, it's like a community of just basically neckbeards that came together and made something successful where we can, to talk about dumb shit. And they're just getting very money hungry with it. I wonder if they got like some new investors.
Now
is
you
Bobby
might be
Kotick
like,
working for Reddit?
They're using the Reddit API.
Have they been in
Shouldn't
connection
have to
with them?
pay? Yeah, I think according to even the developers, they say that they're okay with paying for this. But all of a sudden, with the actual API pricing, the average user would cost $2.50, which is 20 times higher than a generous estimate of what each user brings Reddit in revenue. Literally, for third-party websites, these pricing are designed for them to be killed out. It's not designed for Reddit to play along with the third party. They don't give a shit about the third party.
No, they don't give a fuck.
They just want to cut you off completely. And if they make a few bucks along the way out of a few people willing to cling on to some hope, that's all they're looking for.
Yeah, so what this really is they're trying to funnel people into their specific app, and by doing that, they're going to you have two options: pay out your ass and go bankrupt, or basically just give up, right? Find something else to do.
At the end of the day, Reddit is basically going public, from what it seems, in like the next part of this year, 2023.
See,
if they go,
I just said new investors. That's the problem. They're preparing, for them stock prices. God, it's
public. They obviously want to have a high valuation. And the other thing is they want people to be corralled into using their official applications and not third-party applications. Yeah, because it doesn't look good for an investor. This backlash has caused so much problems within Reddit that apparently 3,500 subreddits that we know so far are actually going to go inaccessible. Yeah. Mostly because they don't approve of this API change whatsoever. Now, to understand, some of these include the most popular communities imaginable. So r/gaming, r/music, r/pics. I can tell you right now,
those are like the biggest
75% of my Reddit is r/gaming. Okay.
Yeah.
If I can't access r/gaming, I have no reason to connect to Reddit. Okay. That's
there's
pretty
a
much
lot
what
of
it comes
them
down
shutting
to.
down.
If
That's
I
actually
can't go on r/Linux gaming, there's no need for me to ever use Reddit again. Reddit, like a lot of social media services, are built upon the backs of the community.
Correct. Built upon, that is a very key phrase there. Built upon the backs of the community. It's literally the only reason you go to Reddit is because of the community. I mean, inherently, the only thing Reddit really provides is a framework for the content to be submitted, right? It's not like they copyrighted your content by it just inherently being on the website. It's just completely ridiculous that they think they have this much power.
Between the creator and the content and the distributing it, that's when things all start to go out of nowhere. Reddit would be worth fucking nothing if it wasn't for the constant user base that it has.
True.
And the user base being able to share whatever they wanted. Honestly, I know that some people will say that maybe it's not up to Reddit to burden the cost, but then again, if Reddit wants to have this high valuation, this is basically, if you think about it, just the cost of doing business. What's even wilder is like,
so it's, I mean, how much is this going to affect the base, right? There's 20% of people that actually use outside apps versus and whatever Sex OS is. So let's highball it, say 25%. So a quarter of their business. If you're going live, how many of those people, I'm wondering, will switch to a Reddit, uh, will be forced into switching to a Reddit-based application and continue to use Reddit afterwards. I think people are inherently lazy. I've said this in multiple videos. And I think they'll just download the Reddit app and just kind of get good with it. If they want to continue to use Reddit, there's going to be a niche group that quits, but ultimately, it is what it is. And they're just going to basically still continue. I don't really believe this is going to work unless everybody takes part in it, even the people that use the regular Reddit apps. That's why I think the Blackout's good, so we'll see. It did work with Twitch, so we'll see how it works now. But it just depends on how far they want to long arm this and strong arm these people.
Literally 9 days ago on Reddit Dev, which is a discussion of the Reddit API, one of the developers, one of the admins, literally came out and started throwing shade over Apollo, one of the largest applications in regards to this. So they described how pricing works.
Apollo
pricing is based on API calls that reflect the cost to
from
maintain the
what I've seen,
API
it's the
and other
biggest,
related
Reddit
costs,
API
engineering, legal, etc. This cost
user.
Reddit on the order of double-digit millions to maintain annually for large-scale applications. The pricing is 24 cents per 1,000 API calls, which equates to less than $1 per user monthly for a reasonably
so they're almost
operated app.
tripling the cost
However,
per user.
not all apps operate this way today. For example, Apollo requires 345 requests per user per day. While with a similar number of users and more comments and vote activity per user, the Reddit is Fun app averages around 100 calls per user per day.
Apollo
as an app is less efficient than its peers. So again, they gave you an example of stuff over here.
So
even
they
the
will be
Apollo
forced
dev came
to-
into the situation and started.
And see, this is
fact-checking.
if the problem was the amount of calls that were being done and people were just being lazy with their framework on those calls, then I feel like they just should have discussions with the creators of those different applications. They shouldn't inherently jump to just completely shitting on them, and forcing their hand. I mean, there's a much more civil and communicative way to do these types of things, and that's what leads me to believe it has, like, the motivation is money versus actual, benefit to the platform.
Reddit engineers. As I asked before, could you please clarify what efficiencies Apollo is experiencing versus other apps? If I inspect the network traffic of the official app, I see a similar amount of API use as Apollo. If you're sharing how much API we use, would you also share how much you use? I browsed 3 subreddits, opened about 12 posts collectively, and I'm at 154 requests in 3 minutes in the official app. It's not hard to see that in a few more minutes, I would hit 3, 4, 500. And of course, they also provided the proof right over here, ladies and gentlemen, of all these goddamn requests that are going through for them. Now, of course, when you've got third-party developers and first-party developers shitting on each other across the entire internet, that's when things get fucking hazy. This is like network this is like network admin drama at this point, dude. It's fucking wild. But let's not stop, ladies and gentlemen.
I'm not a network or admin type person, but I am a person that uses Reddit, and I think millions of people are in a similar situation where they find it aggravating that they're going to be inconvenienced on an app that they use in their downtime. So this is going to be it's just an inconvenience, right? And that makes me frustrated, right? As a user, it makes me frustrated that a greedy company is looking to inconvenience its users by proxy, right? So because they want to force their agenda on people, they are basically forcing me to have a bad time with Reddit.
Apparently there were claims of blackmail.
Yeah,
ladies and gentlemen,
right?
Apollo apparently had allegations of blackmail towards them when they were talking about these developer fees. It's to a point where the call was recorded and, of course, transcripted.
Wow.
Yeah, we're actually recording calls and sharing them with the world. Transparency is key, ladies and gentlemen. So this is where the developer Apollo says, I can make it really easy for you. If you think Apollo's costing you $20 million a year, cut me a check for $10 million, and we can both skip off into the sunset. 6 months of use, we're good. That's mostly a joke. Reddit says 6 months of use. What do you mean? I know you said that was mostly a joke, but I want to take everything you're saying seriously just to make sure I'm not. What are you saying? What are you referring to? And then, of course, the developer says, if Apollo costs you $20 million at the 7 billion requests in API volume, if that's your yearly opportunity cost, cut that in half, say for 6 months, Bob's your uncle. Reddit says, you cut out right at the end. I'm not asking you to repeat yourself for a third time. Obviously, the call wasn't perfect. And then, of course,
right
the
at the end,
developer clarifies, no, I'm sorry, one more time. I was just saying if the opportunity cost is $20 million a year, that's a yearly, apparently, ongoing cost to you folk. If you want to rip that Band-Aid off once and have Apollo quiet down, 6 months, basically turn the application off. Beautiful deal. Again, this is mostly a joke. I'm just saying if the opportunity cost is that high, and if that is something that could make it easier on you guys, that could happen too. As is, it's quite difficult. And Reddit here in the call mentions, it sounds like a threat. And of course, at this moment in time, ladies and gentlemen,
it sounds
the
like a
developers trying to fix it up. Even Reddit
You're
says,
literally
yeah, that's a complete
shitting on your
misinterpretation
entire
my
user
end.
base.
And they were backing down. Obviously, this went from a developer that had cordial conversations
That's
to
crazy
a fucking
that the whole call got posted.
This is like
That is
the
so
exact
big.
burning of a bridge right over here. There was no blackmail. There was just a misunderstanding. Ladies and gentlemen, Reddit is pretty much confirmed to be on this path. Even the other application they mentioned, Reddit is Fun, is shutting down June 30th because of those API changes. Because they said the Reddit API will cost money, and the pricing announced today will cost apps like Apollo $20 million per year. RIF may differ, but it would be in the same ballpark. And no, RIF does not earn anywhere remotely near this number. Again, these changes were designed to gut the third party out, not to work with
Exactly. Yeah, they want to gut them completely, because essentially, if they gut them, right, when they go live on the stock market and everybody's forced into, even if they recapture 20% of the 25%, they are effectively getting a net positive through their stocks. So, and then they're going to get a little bit of cash along the way. But this is, they've obviously weighed their options and they've chosen to disrupt service and be an annoyance, to the users of the app, instead of actually utilizing a, proper conversation to lower the API costs, that they're having. They just went straight to scorched earth.
As part of this, they are blocking ads in third-party applications, which make up the majority of RIF's revenue. Meanwhile, Reddit's official app still continues to make the vast majority of its money from ads. Removal of sexually explicit material from third-party apps while keeping said content in the official app. So again, for the coomers out there that wanted to use third-party applications because they provided a genuinely better experience, well, if you want to jerk off, you're going to need to be using the official Reddit app if you're going to your risque subreddits, okay? One of the big issues is not so much if this app can survive, it's that Reddit isn't even apparently giving applications, third-party ones, the ability to change or like at least adapt. So here they say in the real issue, even more than the large price associated, the $20 million, the 30-day timeline, which, only 30 days to make any changes, is a far bigger issue and not one that this guy can overcome.
I'm surprised they gave 30
So what's
days.
effectively happened over here, much more time needs to be done to overhaul the payment model, transition existing users, test changes, and have people update the application through the storefront.
If anybody has another video they want me to check out
As a comparison, he mentions when Apple bought Dark Sky, they announced a shutdown of their API. Knowing that this API was at the core of many businesses, they provided 18 months before the API would be turned off. When the 18 months came, they ultimately extended it another year, resulting in a total transition period of 30 months. Reddit is giving this guy 30 fucking days. Reddit says you won't get your first bill until August 1st, though. The issue is the size of the bill, not when it will arrive. Yeah, exactly. If you know that your goddamn bill is going to be this massive, what the fuck does it matter if they're going to tell you it's coming in like 2 months or 3 months? You're going to have to pay them this insane amount anyways. So in general, what's the problem is those third-party applications are going to be so expensive that they won't be operating anymore, and you'll have to basically be forced to use the actual Reddit app. At the crux of all this, what you have to understand is at the end of the day,
of the user base of Reddit,
third-party
by the way,
applications
does
might
use
just choose to die out if Reddit sticks to this hill.
third-party apps.
Which means that at the end of the day, your only experience will be with the actual Reddit app, and whether that's a good quality for you, it's not going to matter. It's your only stopgap. Because if you're not using the actual Reddit app, you're pulling your hair out using their mobile website anyways. Now, of course, for individuals that are moderating, you have to understand that moderators on Reddit effectively work entirely for free too. You're telling me that
Yeah,
their
they just
free
do it out of the
job,
goodness of
or
their
sorry, their like slave labor is going to be harder because you're actually hurting access to their moderation tools is a whole extra layer of shit on top of shit. And
So
of
the
course, what's happened
quality
is
of
an
the
open letter.
subreddits you're
Part
already
of this
in are going to
initiative
go down
includes a
because
potential
mods can't
subreddit
use the
blackout,
third-party
which we talked
tools.
about, lasting 24 to 48 hours. And of course, on one hand, it's great to hopefully make enough of an impact to influence Reddit to change their minds. On the other hand, again, some
This
of these
was a
organizations usually
community-driven
stay
application.
out of these
That's why this
blackouts.
is such
and
a
again,
big deal.
they won't want to hurt their own subreddits if they just quiet down, especially during one of the highest event cycles for Reddit.
Yeah.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, a lot of these people have agreed to it. A lot of these people will be part of it. And whether this blackout is enough to convince Reddit, this is actually one change that's fucking way worse than what Twitch just did, okay? Because what Reddit's out to do is, again, focus on their own valuation. They're able to focus on you getting onto their application. They give no shits about your experience as a content creator on their platform using third-party applications. And here's the thing. It's not about just having free access. It's about having a actual payment. It's about actually having a bill that makes sense. Clearly paying $20 million a year.
Agreed with this. So, you having the charging portion is not the issue here, right? It's the intentional pricing to with the intention to shut down and disrupt third-party services. It's basically like pricing your competition out. So, they would look bad, right, if they just outright said, hey, we're shutting it down. You can only use Reddit proprietary software, blah, 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 to utilize Reddit. But they also know it's a community-driven service. So if they do that, that's going to be a bigger shit show. And they thought this would probably be, a creative solution to another means to the same end, right? And with that, obviously it blew up in their face because people aren't stupid. Like, they obviously understand what you're trying to do. They know your stock's right around the corner.
To make it
your
worth
launch
it
on
is,
the
again,
market,
not a sign
public.
that Reddit wants to
They
work
know you
with
want people to be on the
Reddit
app. We
wants
get
to
it.
just
Make
shut
it a
off
better
every
app then.
third-party app they have. It's been a thorn in their ass so far and so on. And all this bullshit about inefficiencies, problems, it's really just that Reddit wants to corral you into their ecosystem completely, ignoring just the monetization benefits of it. They want you in their system so they can hopefully sell that to a bunch of investors around the world. That's at least my theory.
Of course.
But
that's
said,
not
the Reddit API
it's so
blackout
obvious.
is here.
It's so obvious once you saw that call.
It's a pretty
just
big
a
deal
money
to me.
grab.
I like Reddit. I want Reddit to survive.
With the same means
but
to the
if
end to remove
administration is
third-party
making
apps.
dipshit moves like this,
It's
this
fun.
can actually cause the website to die. All right, because if a lot of people, according to these sample sizes, are using
Reddit for
third-party
me is not like a life or death
award-winning
thing. If it
third-party
actually went away
applications,
forever, I don't think I'd give a fuck.
that probably should be two
I'll
things
be
for
honest
Reddit.
with
It should
you.
show the
I
size
do
and
hop on
scale
there
of the community
sometimes.
they are fucking with.
Find a cat girl,
And then it should
whatever.
also show them how terribly awful they are
overall,
when providing
probably not
a service
big
to use their website
L in my life, but
to the other
it's
developers
just more
that don't make
annoying than
nearly
anything.
enough producing these third-party applications.
I look
for
at some of the
average
content
individual.
on there, right?
So, ladies and gentlemen, that being said, let me know what you think about it in the comment section
So,
below. This is me, Mudaha, and if you like
great
what's up,
video. Sky Some Ordinary Gamers. Just found him today. He has pretty good content. Go ahead and drop a like, subscribe there. Go ahead and check that video out. Post it in chat. But yeah.